I'm so excited to share episode 10, Growing Up with a Single Mom, Conversations I Wish I Would Have Had. This is actually part two to episode 9. I hope you enjoy the second part of my conversation with some of my close friends about our experiences growing up as young women in relationships, our relationships with our mother, our romantic partners, things that we've learned about ourselves, and just overall advice for any young woman out there. Enjoy.
Not too. Okay, so we all kind of touched on like therapy, becoming a better version of ourselves, and triggers. Let me ask you this, and you don't have to go into detail, but thinking about just growing up and your upbringing and your parents, have you thought about, are there things that you have held on to that you need to give your parents for, like, is there an opportunity for forgiveness, or have you even accepted that there are some things that you may be holding on to? Like, I know for me in therapy, I wrote a letter to both my parents, and it was like, hey, if you want to give it to them, you can. But it's really a letter for you to release whatever you're holding on to, because you're holding on to something. And even though they may not even be aware of it, and you're not interacting with them at a place of resentment and you're upset, but like you are holding on to things that you have to let go. So I wrote letters to both and I never gave it to them, but that was like my release. And I think that it's helped me to forgive. So have you all come to a place where there's some things that you need to forgive, or you have forgiven, your parents or parent?
I think it was so it's kind of weird because I think like I shared earlier in the conversation, I had a lot of adoration for my dad, and like my mom, I probably didn't show and like display as much respect as I should have when I was younger. The older I got, like that kind of started to switch. And like with my mom, I used to I was like starting to recognize, especially when I started taking care of myself, like legitimately handling everything on my own. I was like, wow, like I had a new appreciation for like what she did in my life, because like I mean Monica and Ashley, I'm sure you guys experience this, but it's like you notice that paper towels aren't there, and so you go and get paper towels, and it's like nobody else in the house has to worry that paper towels are there. You know what I mean? Nobody else has to worry about whether or not there's toilet tissue in the house because mom does it, or like the wife is the one does it. And I like when I started having to like make sure I get those things on my own, like I was like, dang, like there was always soap here. There was always, these things here. And it's like now I have to be the person that's mindful of those things for myself. And those are small things, but like when you have to do that, especially like for other people, you really start to recognize like these people are like that woman was doing that in addition to like dentist appointments and doctor appointments and like taking me to them. And so I forgave my mom because I, in my mind, felt like, at one point in time, unfortunately, I did view her like she was weak. And then I started to realize like she was just juggling so much. And so, like, I gave her for like where I felt like she fell short for me, because I was like you said, she's a person, she has stuff going on. And then like as I got older, I got mad at my daddy because I started like just having bad experiences with men in general. And I was like, and my dad is like, once again, my dad is a very conservative man. He has very conservative views about a lot of things. And I kind of started getting upset with him because I don't think like that about a lot of stuff. And like even he and I would get into it like seriously, like at family gatherings and stuff. He would be like, "Ooh, like y'all just break it up." But I like the older that I've gotten, he has like kind of stepped back from being like trying to like I guess be such a dominant force in my life, and he listens to me and he has conversations about stuff. And he doesn't use like things that are like I find disrespectful, because like I would say like I'm an ally. I feel like in certain instances I have privilege, so like I don't care if like a trans person isn't here right now. I don't want to hear you talking bad about a trans person. Like that's something, me personally, I'm not going for that. And so like even if my dad does feel away, he don't say it around me anymore. You know what I mean? And so like, I guess some of the forgiveness came like as he started making changes in his behavior. But I won't say like it did not, it wouldn't have came if I did not see that change in behavior. Like I probably would have, you know, still been upset about like just some of the views that he held, or, you know, ways that he communicated stuff.
I will say, and I know this is like so far-fetched, but I've never shared this with anyone. Forgiving my mom for dying too soon. I'm pregnant, not here. She helped everyone with their kids until it was my time. And it was hard, like just kind of just grieving and pregnant and forgiving. And then like the day that I gave birth, and if you guys don't know, I got married on 12/12 at 12/12, and I had Olivia at 12/12. And that was God showing me that it was in his timing, his divine timing. And it was like, gosh, I'm holding on to anger. And I didn't realize I was angry until therapy. But I was angry, you know, because my mom died too soon. She was supposed to be here for me. And so that part, having her, it was like a release. It was no sadness the day I had her at 12/12, because it was supposed to only be me and Bernie there. My mom wasn't supposed to be here. And forgiving, I know that's crazy, like being mad at someone that has passed on, but I was angry she wasn't here to experience that when she helped, I mean, everyone with their kids. And then it was my time, and I felt like she should have been here until God showed me differently. And having her at 12/12 was like, when the doctor said it, Bernie and I looked at each other, and I just knew that was God telling me my mom was not supposed to be here. It was supposed to be for Bernie and I.
Girl, that's deep.
I don't think that's crazy at all, Ashley, at all. I think that was also in a sense that God was telling you that you're going to be okay, because I can remember at your shower, and I spoke and I said that it's just you, Bernard, and God in the marriage. It was 3 people in your marriage. And your mom, she spoke to that as well. Yeah. After I said that and I made that comment. So I think that was just full circle, letting you know that everything is complete. So, I mean, I think that's great that you were able to do that, especially before you had her, because that just gives her an additional guardian angel watching over her and over you all, because your mom was so happy about that, no matter what. Like, she really, really was.
Thank you. I remember too. I remember that day, and her speaking to that, but the anger was gone. Like, I'm no longer angry, and it's more of acceptance now, you know, and finding my new normal. And I wasn't able to start that new normal because everything was really like blasé. And I again, Jessica, I don't know what I would have done these months without Jessica, because it was like living a nightmare. And as soon as I had her, I mean, it was the forgiveness is there, for sure.
Whew. Powerful. But no, you haven't shared that with me, so I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And you're right, like the timing, you just never know. Like, Olivia came, and she came when she was supposed to, and who was supposed to be there was supposed to be there. So, ooh, girl. Yes, that would that's deep. Monica.
I guess when it comes down to forgiveness, I would say I have not completed that journey completely. I've done baby steps with it, and I've even semi-explained it to my dad, because I was really, really angry at him for a very, very long period of time, due to the simple fact is, like, my dad, he remarried, so I did leave that part out. And my dad has remarried, don't make me say the wrong number, 3 or 4 times at this particular point. And I love my stepmama now, like my Cece. Love her to death. However, I was very, very angry because even as a child, I often thought there would be like times when my mom and dad would get back together because he would be dating, my mom wasn't dating. But I also had to forgive him and realize that based on family history, he was doing the best that he could based off of his own experience, especially as I've gotten older and I've heard more of the family stories about things that happened with my grandparents and all this other kind of stuff. It helped me to forgive him. But at the same time, I also make sure that I hold him accountable for those actions that he had a choice in, but then also just making sure I let them know what my feelings are. When it comes down to my mom, it's a teetering of a little seesaw effect, and our relationship and our dynamic has changed. Unfortunately, when it comes down to it, we kind of have a hot and cold relationship at this particular point because like I stated earlier, I kind of start to transition into being that independent woman and gravitating towards communicating with my spouse versus communicating with my mom. And she hasn't had the best response to that particular piece. And I have to learn to be at peace with it because, you know, it is something that I allowed for a very, very long period of time. So now I just graciously make decisions and choices in my life. And that's the sense of peace that I find now. And even having communication or just rolling over in the bed and talking to my husband about whatever crazy topic. And I'm like, oh, it was good talking to you about that. And so I'm finding peace more so than complete forgiveness. I do feel like there's definitely a deep conversation that I do need to have with my mom, but I don't think I'm ready, and I don't think she's ready for that conversation at this point.
I'm taking a breath because it is no, our parents are not, even though they gave based on the capacity of what they could, don't always mean it was right. And they don't want to hear that. And like we talked about earlier, like they're human, so you gotta separate the mom and dad side to like he's a man, she's a woman, they're still human and they have their own struggles. But to your point, Monica, like, some people never get to that point where they can have that conversation. And at least you're acknowledging you need it. And then when the time is right, you'll do it, but you're focusing on your peace. I know me and my mom, and I just say exactly what it was. Like me and my mom didn't agree on me getting the vaccine and my decisions on it. And I eventually had to tell her, like, I need you to respect me. I'm an adult. Like, trust me to make the right decisions in what I do. And I don't want to keep talking about it. I'm grown. Like, I didn't raise my voice like that. She's still my mama. But, I'm an adult. I need you to respect my decision on what I decide to do and trust that I'm doing what I need to do. And I had to finally get to the point to just say it. Like, it just annoyed me. But you feel like sometimes too, we definitely should respect our parents, but they have to respect us too. And that was the one thing that I've learned, like going through my own journey of boundaries and peace. Like, I'm an adult and I'm a woman too. Like, I'm not just your daughter. You have to respect me too. So that's good. And, I feel you about the dad piece. Just the parents in general, like, it's okay to accept that, like, we're holding on to things, and some things we would not get over, overnight. Like, I'm still working through some things too, but I think I'm at a much better place where I'm not holding on to it and it makes me angry or it's going to impact my relationships. So the last thing I want to kind of talk about, because we kind of been talking, I'm surprised y'all been doing good, is like friendships. And some of you kind of touched on that, like, having zero tolerance for friends because of the relationship with your siblings, your mom, or having those conversations every day. But like growing up, based on your experience in friendships, specifically with women, what does that look like for you? like, has things changed from when you think back when you were like in high school, college, early 20s to now where you are in your 30s? Like, has your outlook on relationships with women changed? Are you more open to friendships? Do you are more closed? Like, what does that look like for you as you work through becoming a better version of who you are?
I guess for me, I can start this particular question. I guess friendship wise, surprisingly, my sister and I, we are not super close, even though we grew up in the same household together. I think part of it was a combination of her actually having the experience of being in the household with my dad and being raised with my mom, my dad, and her. And then I think part of it was the age gap because we are 5 years apart. So, like when I was in junior high, she was in college, those types of things. So I think that relationships are not as close as with my sibling as I would like to be. We do a lot better now since I have kids and she's calling, asking about the nephews, not necessarily me. But I think relationship with women, I think my relationships when I was younger and when I was like young adult, like 20s, and then now in my 30s, I think I've transitioned back to how I was in high school, where you find that it's all about the quality over the quantity piece of having a few good friends that you can lean and depend on, and you don't have to call every day, but we all know that we're good, that type of thing. Because in my 20s, I made friends, and then over a period of time, you realize like, oh, these people aren't genuine. They don't have my best interest at heart, like those types of things. And I was very much more reserved with friendships in high school, that some of the people from high school are some of the same friends really that I have now in my 30s. With my new friends that I've met, like Jessica, Ryan, and Ashley, at this particular point that I met in my late 20s. So I think my dynamic of relationships have evolved. And I think part of that is with the wisdom that was instilled in me. Because my mom, her best friends are still her same friends that she either went to high school with or she met when she first started college. And they've been there for my weddings, baby showers, everything, all dynamics of our life, how it changed. Those same people I can remember being there.
I think I think that's good about talking about your relationship with your sister. So, Ashley, will you say something?
I kind of piggyback off of what Monica said. With you kind of transition out. You have some of the same friends from when you were in elementary, middle school, and some of those friends you don't have. But I will say this, like one of my regrets is letting people go. And sometimes like with me in particular, with my friends are ex-friends, I should have let them go. It's red flags there, and you just hold on because you've been knowing them for so many years. Yeah. And you continue relationships that don't really benefit you or your soul. Okay. And you can hear baby Olivia now, she's up. And that's one of my regrets, is just not letting go sooner. And it's all about quality than quantity, like Monica said earlier. So in saying that friends are important, but they have to be your friends. So you want those genuine relationships, and I think we all probably are in the same boats. We don't have as many friends as we did in high school or college. I'm speaking for myself. I definitely don't, and I'm okay with that. Being okay, letting go, and letting them weed their own self out.
I completely agree with Ashley from the perspective that like sometimes you do have to let people go, and it's kind of like, I hope this isn't a reflection of me, but like I've had probably 3 relationships over the last like 10 years that I would like really consider like those ladies, like very, very good friends of mine. And like, you know, we eventually just stopped being friends. And it was like this is like the weirdest thing to me is that when you're friends with someone and you stop being friends with them and you feel like your life hasn't changed much, that's just like to me a huge indicator of the quality of friend that that person was, right? Because it's like, wow, like this doesn't make a difference really. It's like, you know, okay, you're gone. But like to your original question, like having the way I having friends now in my life, women friends, is like I love the friends that I have. I feel like, you know, I try to share that like I am always there when I can be for my friends, because I really have the type of friends that will always be there for me and like me and like just go above and beyond when I need them to. And like, you know, Monica was talking about seeing her mom and her mom's friendships. I think like, you know, my mom and her friendships, and like I have so many people that are like aunties to me because like that's how we are, right? It's like if, you know, they're really good friends with my mama, then they my auntie now. But I just seen like when we were going through stuff, when I was younger, like that was our village. And like that's how I feel about my village too now. Like I hands down feel like women are so thoughtful when you find the right, you know, group of friends. They're so thoughtful. They're the type of people that will like recognize like, hey, something's off. Are you okay? Do you need anything? And really like make sure they like things are moving right for you because they know like what your goals are, what you're invested in. I'm just I hope to be as good of a friend as my friends are to me, but also to Ashley's point, like recognizing you know, when someone shouldn't be in my life any longer as a friend. And I'm too old for like that associates thing now, right? Like I don't need a homegirl to go out and like club with. Like I'm good. I'm past that. Like I need somebody that like is gonna talk to me about like what does our future look like? How can we get there? Or like even the conversation we're having now, at the end of the day, like I think this is cathartic and therapeutic for us. And those are the type of friendships that like I want. Like someone that's like, I want you to be healthy, girl. Let's talk about this stuff, you know? So that's kind of how I feel about my relationships now.
Um, if Brian, you I'm with you about the associates. I don't think I'm at a place where like I just want to have women around just to have them around, unless it's at work, right? Because your coworkers or your peers are not your friends. They are just that. But I know like when I think about growing up in a house of women, and then, you know, we were raised with my cousin and Simone and I, like we're all like 3 years in a 3 year span. And we spent a lot of time at my grandma's house together. But like me and my sister were not really close growing up because we were 2 years apart. And then she had a late birthday. So I was a senior, she was a freshman. And we didn't go to middle school together. And then when my parents divorced, we had different friends. So she and I were not we were close as in we shared the room a room together, and we had to go to church together, go to my grandma's house, but like close like that we were not really close until probably I went off to college. We became closer, and especially after I graduated we became much closer. And then my older sisters, there's a like 8 to 9 year age gap between us. So when I was in elementary school, they were in high school. And then, you know, when they moved out the house, we just really, you know, it wasn't really close. Now we're a lot closer, which is weird, but we are a lot closer now. So like I know how to interact with them, but I do think that because I wasn't close with them growing up, I did like have a lot of relationship with friends. Like, you know, one of my childhood friends, I'm still very close with from middle school. But it's weird being that I grew up and I felt like very guarded, even though I would hang around people. But this is gonna sound awful. Like I really didn't want to be bothered with people. And I was an introvert. So like I love being to myself, but I feel like I'm a magnet to people. And so like with you all, I do have a good number of friends that are women who are genuinely my friends, and I can bring them together like this, and y'all can have a good time. We can be happy for one another. And I never would have imagined that's how things would be, just based on when I think about how I was growing up. And some of that could have been trauma, right? That I was responding to and holding in. So it wasn't I don't want to be bothered at people. Maybe I was angry and didn't know it. But I do think that not being really close to my sisters then, and then kind of connecting and latching on to other people outside, just made me naturally have better relationships with women. But I will say, I do not, when I think about like my class reunion, it's gonna be me and Nadia. I don't talk to anybody from high school, other than Facebook. I don't have friends from high school. College, I do. That's why I built some really great relationships. And then Ryan and Monica, I met y'all at State Farm. So, there I have relationships, but I don't have any childhood friends other than Nadia. That's the only childhood friend I have that I have a relationship with. And I do believe that we should not hold on to people just because we have history, just because we're in third grade and fourth grade together, or, we grew up and our parents was close. Like, I don't believe in hanging on to those people, because there are seasons for everyone. And there's seasons for adults, friends that you make as adults as well. So I'm glad to hear that you are able to identify that, because everybody's not going to be happy for you. And Ashley, I'll share this story. Even when I think about, and this will be another topic, so I don't want to get into that now, because just go down a rabbit hole. But when Ashley was it engaged, Ashley? Oh, when you were getting married. When Ashley was getting married, I went, to Florida for a week. And like, I was there a week working, helping this girl decide on a dress a week before the wedding and all this stuff. But like, we were doing all these things, was making a checklist. And I sat and I thought, when I got to my hotel room, I was like, do I feel some type of way? Like, I'm single, she's getting married, and I'm single, she getting married, and I desire that. And I just like, no, I don't. And I just left it at that. And then I actually told Ashley, like, I don't know. I remember Ashley how I brought that up, but I know I shared it with you. Did I share it with you when, like, before the wedding or after?
I don't remember. Maybe I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, but I did bring it up to her, and I was like, I questioned that, but I felt like I've been a good friend, and I have really genuine relationships with the women in my life that is not a competition. And sometimes it becomes a competition, and that's where you have to question the quality of the friendship, because we're all on different paths. And just because Ryan may be where I want to be, but she got there quicker, I'm not jealous of that. And Ashley and Monica, y'all are married, and I'm not jealous of that. I'm genuinely happy, and if any of you all come to me for advice, I feel like my advice is based on, I want the best for you and your situation, and I'm not trying to sabotage. And a lot of women don't know how to do that, right? They give you advice or try to persuade you to do certain things because deep down they are jealous that you have something that they want, and they can't be happy for you. So I'm happy to hear that about friendships. And I value each of you all and being able for me to bring y'all together. But I definitely think that the foundation of me being around so many women growing up kind of helped me to deal with so many personalities now as friends, because we're all different, but I feel like we can relate in so many ways. So is there anything else that you all would like to share before we end this call? Like, if there's a woman out there who is super independent, or if there's a young girl who might be listening in her 20s, early 20s, just graduated from high school, college, anything, just based on what we talked about, is there anything that you would like to share to a woman? I'm saying like an age range, I'm gonna put an age range on it. Any woman who might be listening.
I guess for me would be, don't forget to love yourself, give yourself grace, and really just enjoy life. Life is too short.
I think one of the things that I would want someone to hear, because I needed to hear this at one point in my life, is like, sometimes you have to forgive yourself for like stuff that you allowed to happen in your life. Like, I think we've all, like mentioned, we've stayed too long in relationships, friendships, like maybe like over, like endured, like, even kind of abuse at like our jobs. I can definitely relate to that. But, like sometimes, especially when it comes to romantic relationships, you may feel like kind of crazy or silly after the fact. But it's like I was doing, you were doing what you could with the information that you had, right? So like you have to forgive yourself because, and I myself for a lot of things that I endured in past relationships as well. And that had a big impact on my like overall self-esteem and what I felt like I deserved, because I would be like, in the past, I accepted it. So like what's different about the future? And I pretty much was like, I'm drawing a line in the sand now, and moving forward, things are different. So forgive yourself. It's all like it's okay that you did those things or those things happened to you and you stayed or whatever the case is. It's over now. Like tomorrow's a new day and things different. You don't have to accept the same things that you did in the past, regardless of what the relationship was when it happened.
Self-forgiveness.
Um, I would say trust God, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and set your boundaries. Learn when you have reached your capacity. It's okay to say no.
I think the one thing I would say is don't be afraid of uncomfortable conversations. And then also realize that some of the conversations that you need to have doesn't always have to be with family and friends and siblings, because their response is going to be based on their experiences and their capacity and what they thought was right, and doesn't necessarily mean it's right. So if you need to go to a therapist, or a life coach, like go to someone that you can bounce things off of to try to tap into. But then just like we're having now, have conversations with your girlfriends. Like, I wish I would have done this in college, just bring up certain topics, and I didn't think about it. So don't be afraid to have those conversations and realize that, your mom, your grandma, or your grandparents, your parents, the response they give you is based on what they know, and what they know does not always mean is right. So don't be afraid to branch out to have these conversations with others, and really value yourself, and don't get stuck in relationships, because you got a lot of time to date and be committed. So have fun. So I appreciate you ladies having this conversation. I hope we have more in the future, because I thought this was really good, and it will really help other women that are, wherever they are in their life, really help them with multiple topics. So I sure appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.